I'm going to say good evening because it's evening where I am. I'm in Los Angeles, and it's a beautiful evening. And this is Monique Marvez doing the Monique Marvez Show. In fact, the very first Monique Marvez Show of 2020. And it's going to be an amazing show because 2019, I laid kind of low, and even the end of 18. And I have to be honest with you. All of the emails, text, messages, private messages I got about where are you? We miss you. Send us content, well wishes, encouragement, all of the things that I like to believe that I actually send you and that you received them. Because when you weren't receiving them, you missed them and you took the time to ask for them. And you can't even imagine how much that inspires and moves me. So here I am with a year plus of stored up encouragement and love. And we just had kind of 3 segments last year because that was it. Like it was a mic drop. I did What's Your Story, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. They're currently on Soundcloud and you can go back and review, but let's go forward. What do you say? Let's move forward into 2020. And when I say move forward, I mean, I want you to build momentum like you've never built. And the first word I'm going to give you to help you build momentum is forgiveness. Now, when we think of forgiveness, I think that a lot of weird things swirl around in our head. Is it letting go of a grudge? Is it other people? Is it the past? Is it regrets? Is it sort of a string ball of all the above? I think it is. And here's what I want you to understand. Forgiveness, like charity, begins at home. So let's forgive everything from the last 2 decades. Heck, from however many decades you've been alive. We are starting the 3rd decade. I can't even believe that. Of the new millennium. So much has happened to me since New Year's Eve, 1999. So the first thing when we talk about forgiveness, I had this thought and I jotted it down, and I'm actually going to show it to you how I write in my journal so that you can see my process. I write, the experience was the payoff. Meaning, when you're looking for something to pay off, when you have an expectation, the experience, the occurrence, the fact that you were on the right side of the dirt and something happened is the payoff. Good, bad, or indifferent, something happened. The experience was the payoff. You decide if you're in the red or the black. It's a decision. Now, I've been in the red financially for years, but I've been in the black emotionally and spiritually and physically for years. And that's because I've made a lot of decisions about going forward. Now, I talk about decision a lot on this podcast, but I want to talk about it again. I know it from memory. I'm not even looking at notes. Decision, the root word is to cut. It's sort of the same Latin root word as the word scissor. It means to cut off the other option. It literally means, light the bridge on fire. I can't go backwards. To decide is to cut and separate the other option. And I say this because decision is powerful, and most people don't make decisions. And I've actually endured criticism for being decisive. I've actually been told that it's unfeminine, that women are not decisive, because it's sort of like wielding a mental knife. Think about what a knife is, what a sword is. Cutting I think it's the Gorgian knot. It's a knot with a G. Look it up. I always get it wrong. But you're cutting a knot. You're making a decision. I'm the person who goes into a restaurant, looks up and down the menu, goes with my gut, decides. I'm having the eggplant palm. Decide. And I've always been decisive. And maybe my ability to understand how important decision is predates speech, because it's the waffling that'll kill you. It's the inability that'll kill you. The devil loves stasis. He absolutely loves when you're sitting still because you're pickings. Even if you're going in the wrong direction, if you're partying your ass off and dating the wrong person, you're doing something. You are having an experience. And on the highway of life, hey, you can always get on the off-ramp, flip a bitch, and go in the other direction. But you're moving. If you're sitting still, there is no stasis on a physical plane. If you're wishy-washy, if you haven't decided, that's it. You are devil prey. So let's talk about forgiveness. Decide to let things go that maybe you didn't handle in a way that you're extremely proud of. Let them go. So what? This is what I tell people. Look in the mirror. Do you have any physical scars? Do you have all 4 of your limbs, your arms and legs? If you have no scars and you got your limbs, nothing happened. It's just a story. It's invisible. It's a story that lives in the minds of the people that observed it, the experience. Maybe you said something to another human that was very detrimental or harmful, or maybe you even shoved them. So what? They've got their arms and legs. You got your arms and legs. It was a moment in time. Nothing happened. It is now an invisible story that you've chosen to carry forward and take up all of this space in your mind about. I tell people you have to think of your brain as a storage unit. There's a finite amount of space in your brain. Now, I like to think it's infinite, and I've heard scientists say we use a small part of it. I get that. But the part that you're using currently, if you're holding on to things, if you're living in unforgiveness, it's the equivalent of having plastic boxes of moldy nothingness taking up space in your storage unit of a brain that you could be using to get rich, famous, beautiful, laid, all the above, by the sea, whatever you want. And now, do you really want to have those things happen and you're dragging along plastic boxes of moldy nothingness? I don't think so. My storage unit is filled with wonderment and beauty because that's what I spent the bulk of 2019 doing. It was a decision, and the decision had to be upheld because the decision took a second. The upholding of the decision took over a year. This whole saga began when I had to decide to leave the Hollywood Tower, my home of 4 years that I adored, because there were new owners. There was a new situation. There was new juju, and it was bad juju. And I had to forgive them, and I had to make a decision. I wasn't going to change them. I wasn't going to create good juju. I had to go, and that was hard. I had lived there for 4 years, and I had called the shot like Babe Ruth in the summer of 1981 when I drove by that building, and I pointed as a kid and said, someday I'm going to live there. It was a long time coming, and it felt like it was too short a time there. But isn't that how it works in the amusement park of life? But I made that decision, and I moved on, and I landed in a way better place. And when I landed here, I brought no juju. I brought no unforgiveness. My apartment, which has been my apartment for 1 year and 2 days, is a sanctuary. And everyone who walks in it marvels at the energy and how lovely it feels just to be here. Forget all my vintage furniture and amazing lighting. It feels good because I decided that it was going to feel good. I decided to forgive myself for every failed marriage, for every relationship that didn't pay off the way I wanted, for every penny of credit card debt and thousands of dollars of interest that I've paid, for every air quote mistake I've made. There's been an upside. And I decided, yeah, guess what credit card debt is? You know what that is? My student loans of the University of Life. That's the story I tell myself. And it works, and it makes me happy, and it keeps me moving forward. So first of all, I want to talk about forgiveness. And then I want you to get very adept over the next few weeks at telling yourself stories that are not delusional, that are actually rooted in fact. But they are the fact that you decided to live in forgiveness. You know what you did. It just doesn't matter anymore. You're sorry for what you did. It just doesn't matter anymore. You've tried very hard to make amends and become a better person. Just doesn't matter anymore. You are the person you decide to be today, and you forgive the person you used to be. I've ended a lot of relationships over the last 14 months. And you know what? Some people are circling back into my life, and they're not sure how to feel about me because I'm not that girl. I'm not the girl they said goodbye to and then reappeared. I'm a different girl. They came back and the house was painted and they weren't sure it was the same house because some shrubs were torn down and some ivy was pulled off. And it looks different and it looks shiny and new. And they were used to a different kind of worn kind of feel, kind of ivy covered, kind of old blanket house. No, that's not the house anymore. But it's still comfortable and cozy and beautiful in a different way.